what they did. They let me do all this farm work, but certain things are very structured. I had to be on meals on time, and I had to attend the classes. I couldn't make them do my homework, but I had to attend and not disrupt the classes. And I wasn't allowed to be a recluse in my room. And then other things, they just let me go out in the field and fly my kite. And one of the things, what ended up happening is I didn't have the time management problems some of the kids have today. Like, they can't get up on time. They wait until the last day to do their homework. Because once I decided to knuckle down in college, I didn't have that problem. Now, dorm life, I had tons of social problems. Tons. But getting to class on time, getting homework done, once I decided to do it, was not a problem. Had to be tutored in math, but I didn't wait until the last minute. So you see, part of the life is structure. Other stuff, I had a lot of free time to do things. And there also were no video games around. When I use the term video game, I'm talking about, shoot 'em ups like this. I'm not talking about Wii, or I'm not talking about other electronic things. I'm talking about just sitting there, sort of recluse playing video games.
We got a question. We're going to take one or two more, and then we're going to give time for people if you want to meet with Temple before we have to get her to her.
If you like livestock, you can look at my livestock webpage. I got lots of stuff there.
Yeah, more on the livestock. What's the difference between handling cattle and handling bison?
Handling cattle, well, bison, they get upset, they get a lot more dangerous. One of the things about bison is you can take cattle and line them up in a single file chute, and they're fine. Bison don't do so well with that, get really stressed out. You're sometimes better off to just bring maybe two up into the lead-up chute, and one goes in the squeeze chute, then you got one on deck, and don't kill them up for too long. Bison's an animal that when bison get scared, they get really destructive to themselves and to others, and towards a horse.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead.
First, talking to you scares the living crap out of me.
What scares the living out of you?
Crap.
What scared you?
You would think being a teacher talking in front of people like this wouldn't be a problem, but apparently it is. I'd have to say that knowing a person is autistic, that is huge. For me, I was diagnosed multiple emotional and behavioral disorders. I had one hell of a time growing up. And finally, a couple of years ago, I made math and special education teacher. Once I made that connection, once everyone started joking, oh, you must be autistic, and it all clicked, it made sense. And that was huge for me. But I've noticed that since I made that connection, and whenever I tell other people that, I've noticed a difference in how they treat me. A pretty marked difference, particularly in rural North Dakota. What I wanted to know was, at what point does it become over-embracing your autistic diagnosis? At what point does a person treat that as how they identify themselves?
I don't treat it. I treat myself. I identify myself as a cattle professional first. And I wouldn't want to. People say to me, "Would you snap your fingers and want to make autism go away?" I wouldn't want to make it go away because I like the logical way of things. But if I'm sitting next to somebody on a plane, I don't talk about autism. I'm talking about, well, I'm a professor of animal science at Colorado State and going out to convention, and that's a whole thing about disclosure. There's where the older person, maybe he's got a job, we're learning that they have autism helps us if they have on relationships. Really, really helps on that. And you can read in the book Different Not Less on that. There's 14 older people telling their stories. Well, there's some job things. The way I got jobs when I started was I wrote for the Farm and Ranchman magazine. So I built up a portfolio of work. People thought it was weird, but I wrote good articles for the magazine. Then I started writing articles for Beef magazine, National Cattle magazine, and then I'd sell jobs by showing off pictures and drawings. I I learned to sell my work and you know, a portfolio of work. Now, you said you are a special ed teacher now? Or?
I have been a special ed teacher for the last 5 years, but I currently teach mathematics.
You teach mathematics, and how's that going?
PG.
Well, that's great then. You keep teaching mathematics and take some of these kids that are kind of different. I'm appalled at how people get hung up on these labels. They are not scientific. They are behavioral profiles. In fact, in the Autistic Brain book, we're going through the whole history of the DMS. It's going to make you throw up. Because they kept changing what these labels mean. Nobody sits around a conference room and changes the diagnosis of tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is tuberculosis.
We have one of our younger members here has a question.
In your movie, you said that you didn't like the sound of the bell. Like the
That's
bell.
right. No, I didn't.
And I was wondering what types of sounds agitate, or if it's just different people. What types of sounds agitate? Agitating.
Well, the thing about the sensory things is they're different. You know, one kid might not like the sound of a toilet flushing. That hurts her ears. Another child might be a smoke alarm sound. These sensory issues can often be real variable. You know, one person has problems with fluorescent lights flickering, another person does not have it. These sensory issues, this is one area that needs to be researched. And I've had a chance to go on brain scan studies where they dissect out the white matter cables in the brain and connect up to different parts of the brain. And eventually be able to take all this DMS stuff and just throw it out and be able to tell exactly where the brain is different. And the thing is, on a lot of these variables, it's like a music mixing board. You know, you've got all these little switches you can slide back and forth. And imagine one's math ability, one is anxiety, another one is the dopamine system, seeking. Another one's another trait, trying to get sad easily. You can adjust all these little knobs. And there's no black and white dividing line between normal and abnormal. Now, if you shove 5 of the switches to one end of the board, you're going to get something abnormal. But there's a whole lot of moving of those switches in the middle positions on the music mixing board that are just normal personality variation. But the problem we've got with verbal thinking is, get this label. Okay, we can label this guy little math computer genius. Okay, you look at it one way, you label him autistic, maybe he's looked at another way, but he's still the same kid. One advantage of being a visual thinker is, I see the kid. Like what, the Silicon Valley? Half of them are on the spectrum. These programmers, half of them are on the spectrum. They're all undiagnosed. And you see, there's things where the situations where you need that, labels can help to get services. But where I get concerned is on the higher end of the spectrum. I'm seeing too much of a handicap mentality. Oh, little Johnny will order his hamburger for him at McDonald's. No, he's going to have to go up to the counter at McDonald's and learn how to order his hamburger. But on the other hand, you can't just do surprises, because surprises cause panic. You can't just throw them into surprises. There's some sensory issues you can't just shove them into. But if you don't stretch these kids, a good teacher knows how to stretch them. When I was 15, I was afraid to go to my aunt's ranch. My mother wasn't going to let me not go. She gave me a choice. 1 week or all summer. And I got out there, and I loved it, and I ended up staying all summer. But she wasn't going to let me not go. You see, that's the important thing. And it was not a surprise. I had pictures and things of the ranch. I knew about it beforehand. I got out there, and I loved it. I was making horse bridles. I made that gate you could open up with the car. I did all kinds of stuff. And I had a lot of people that really helped me. And that was really a good thing.
All right. I want to thank everyone. We're going to stop these so you can come up. We also want to share Temple with the rest of the community. You can see we have a little bit of news coverage here. And before, I want to say thank you on behalf of Animal Sciences coming. And before we end here, I would like you, I'm asking you, let's please give Temple a thanks that she will never forget her trip to NDSU.